Is it Wave 2 ranking time? I think it's Wave 2 ranking time. But first, a reaction to the Wave 3 trailer that recently came out.
The Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass DLC. Start your engines for 8 courses in Wave 3.
Look at these track selections. Maple Treeway, oh heck yeah.
Maple Treeway.
I like Maple Treeway. Maple Treeway is a fun time. I like the song too. And Maple Treeway actually looks really good. Like, holy cow, Maple Treeway looks amazing. Dang.
Rainbow Road.
And Rainbow Road, there it is. Oh, Rainbow Road looks so good. Wow. Wow. 3DS Rainbow Road to be specific, but wow, man. This looks so good. Why does this look good? Why? Like, good grief.
Boo Lake.
There's Boo Lake. Recently added a Mario Kart tour, actually. Ooh, anti-gravity, too. I kind of feeling that it would be anti-gravity, but... And Berlin Byways, let's go! And man, this looks so sick. Good grief. This looks so sick. Rock Mountain. Better be in a Rock Cup. Yeah, Rock Mountain's a fun track. Peach Gardens, we saw that in the last Nintendo Direct, so this one is nothing new. London Loop. Oh, let's go, London Loop. I was kind of waiting for when this one would show up since this was one of the early tour tracks. And there's Merry Mountain. Yep, we saw this one in Direct too. And it looks great, and they brought back the half pipe. Let's go. Man, this wave looks so good. Dang. I cannot wait for this. This is a good track selection.
Wave 3 launches
December 7th. All right, let's go. That's a couple of days before a certain person's birthday. If you look at the channel name, you will probably know who. Dang, that looks good. That is a great selection, and I cannot wait to race on each and every one of them. But yeah, that was my reaction to the Wave 3 trailer, so now let's turn over to our featured presentation. Ranking Wave 2. So Wave 2 has been out for a few months, and with Wave 3 on the horizon, now is the perfect time to rank all the tracks in this wave. Same rules apply as the last one, which if you haven't watched, here you go. I'm only going to be ranking the tracks in this wave to each other, not comparing them to the previous or future waves, nor comparing them to the base game tracks. With that out of the way, I'm Husk, and this is my Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass Wave 2 tier list. That is a mouthful. Beginning in the Turnip Cup is New York Minute. Now this was never one of my favorite tour locations because each of the individual versions are a bit short. However, similar to Tokyo Blur, 8 improves this place a bit by having you drive on each variant in one race thanks to the route change gimmick. You start by going through New York Minute 1, then 2, and finally 3. Now admittedly, I think the overall map is pretty small compared to the other city tracks that exist, but since the layout feels like you're going through the streets of New York due to the turns being sharp, I can let that slide. Besides, the Rockefeller Plaza part of the track is a nice way to end off the race. Also, the city being at night gives it a lot of points. Again, not the best city track ever, but still a nice time all around. So yeah, this track is a nice one, and it goes in B tier. Next up is SNES Mario Circuit 3, and oh boy. This, in my opinion, is the Toad Circuit of this wave, aka the worst track. Now, in a general sense, this track is fine to race on. The layout is tricky enough that you gotta be careful around the turns, and the off-road shortcut potential is quite good. Also, the presentation is quite nice. I like the added details like the floating blocks and flagpoles hanging around. However, the track itself is pretty flat. In fact, it's barely different from its last appearance in Mario Kart Wii. Now, I could do a whole video on the SNES track remakes, which if you want to see that, let me know, and how they play it way too safe. And this track is no exception. It just doesn't do anything different. And when you have other tracks in this wave that have more to them, this one sticks out like a sore thumb. I'll save my rant for later, so I end it here. Mario Circuit 3 gets a C tier. Sometimes I have my fun with it, but nah, I'll take literally any other track in this wave. Moving on is N64 Kalimari Desert. Now this is an interesting case because by itself, it looks like Kalimari Desert, not a whole lot different. However, what makes this track stand out is something that Mario Kart Tour did. In that game, there's a variant called Kalimari Desert 2, where the layout routes you onto the train tracks. That was a nice twist, and so they brought it over to the 8 Deluxe version thanks to the route change gimmick. And let me say, there's nothing more fun than trying to dodge the train while heading towards it. This was a welcome change of pace, and to the fans of Mario Kart 64, this was probably a nice surprise. Now, admittedly, I wish they updated the environment more, like they did with Choco Mountain, but the added twist makes up for it. And it's on the upper end of B tier because of that. And finally is everyone's favorite DS track, Waluigi Pinball. Racing on a pinball machine? Quite a novel concept, and it works really well. Being launched onto the table at the start, dodging pinballs, bumpers, and flippers, hearing the different sound effects is a wonderful ride throughout. Now, to be honest, I think this track is a touch overrated. Mainly because of Waluigi being attached to it. Yep, I made a lot of people mad. But still, I can't deny that this is one of the best tracks in the series, and in this wave. So yeah, this is going in A tier. Moving on to the Propeller Cup, it's Tour Sydney Sprint. I'm gonna be blunt, this is the best track in this wave. I really liked Sydney Sprint in Tour, even if it's a tad simple, but this version improves it a whole lot. It starts off normal, going through the Sydney Opera House, driving around Luna Park, going around the bridge, then back to the start, just like Sydney Sprint 1. But then it takes you through the route of Sydney Sprint 3, going through the Bangaroo Reserve, but then going backwards on the bridge onto the Mary Booth Lookout Reserve portion of Sydney Sprint 2, then gliding back to the Opera House and driving past the starting line, and finally you go through the Lap 1 route backwards. This map is so dynamic, turning Sydney Sprint from an alright track into an amazing one. Also, the music is great. This is an easy S tier. Next up is GBA Snowland. Now, I haven't played the original beforehand, so I have no idea what that's like, but I'm sure this is the best version of it. Like a lot of the other GBA tracks in 8 and Tour, this one got quite the glow up. Having you start on a bridge, going past some trees, driving down an icy lake with penguins, or just chillin'. It's all around a grand old time. Also, shoutouts to this track for having a pretty neat shortcut. Whether or not that was intentional, that's up to you. Out of all the tracks, I would definitely call this the sleeper hit of Wave 2. Who knew a track I'm sure no one remembers will end up being the best one in this wave, let alone in A tier. Now we come to Wee Mushroom Gorge. Now this is a classic track, and by that, I mean every casual player's nightmare because they can't navigate the big mushroom section without falling off. Still a good track though. Bouncing on the mushrooms is always a good time, the cave is very pretty. This is just a feel-good track. If not stressful trying to not fall down the pits. Also, they kept the Gap Cup shortcut from the original, which every Mario Kart Wii player can appreciate. So yeah, not much else to say about this one. This is an easy A tier. It's a classic track for a reason. It's great. And last but not least is Tour Sky High Sunday. Now I'm considering this a Tour track instead of an 8 track because I have the sense it was supposed to come to Tour a lot sooner than it did, but it got delayed and somehow 8 just got first by a few days. Feel free to argue about it in the comments. And while you're down there, subscribe. I appreciate it. Anyways, when it comes to Sky High Sunday, people seem to be split on it. Some people think it's a good track, others think it's not great. Me? I like it a lot. Now I do get why people may not like this track. One, it's basically an oval, but I like Baby Park and Excite Bike Arena, so it's fine. Two, it feels automated, where you don't do a whole lot of turning. While I can understand that, with lax in turns, it makes up for with all the tricks and spin boosts you can do. And 3, this being entirely in anti-gravity makes it a little floaty and slightly easier than if it didn't have it. I don't know, I've played both versions and the weights aren't all that different between the two, but I don't mind how floaty this version is. Plus, you can do this in the 8 version. Quite fun to do. So while I do get the critiques about this track, I personally have a lot of fun with it. And because of that, I'm comfortable with putting this in the A tier. It's just a sweet ride throughout. And that was Wave 2 of the Booster Course Pass. Overall, this was a really solid wave of tracks. Presentation-wise, they look very nice. while they still have that tour art style, which I've said before, I don't mind, I do like how some of them have updated textures, which I'm sure a lot of people appreciate. Now in general, is this track selection better here than Wave 1? Honestly, they're more or less the same quality to me. Some Wave 2 tracks are better than Wave 1, but some Wave 1 tracks are better than Wave 2. Now that's not a bad thing, I do like how both waves have a similar quality, but in my opinion, I don't think Wave 2 is as big of an improvement over Wave 1 as some people may say. Now Wave 3 on the other hand, that's looking really good, and I can't wait to race on those tracks. Berlin, my beloved, here I come! Anyways, I'll save that wave for another time. If you want to watch that video where I race on those tracks for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and like this video if you enjoyed it. What did you think of this wave? Was it good? Was it bad? Leave it in the comments below. Also, if you want to watch some more content with me or with Sonic and Friends, I recommend these videos. Thanks for watching, and until the next video or stream, goodbye!